Griff. It's what I like to be called. It's my nickname. I'm here to tell a story about being sexually assaulted in late 2010 by a female. It can happen. It can happen to us too. And I need to speak out for men and women out there that have said no and are still sexually assaulted. It's very hard for a man to talk about being assaulted, especially by a woman, because we're taught that we're supposed to be the superior gender, but we're not. When we do say no, we mean no. I've tried everything over the last 10 years to erase the memory, but it never goes away. Never. And now I'm dealing with the memory of this woman in my life that came in like a tornado and she's gonna leave like a hurricane. I'm not ready to show my face because it's too difficult right now. I've only been able to tell a few people about it face to face. I do find it hard, but then once I talk to someone who has experience, like victim services or a counselor, it seems to be easier to talk about. But I feel like I need to be a voice for men and for women that do say no. We always deal with this type of thing in a negative way, because we don't think our family's gonna believe us, our friends aren't gonna believe us. The justice system is a joke. Yes, the police want to do something, but they can't. Right? You get a little slap on the wrist for something like this. So what's the point? In late December of 2010, I was living in Charlottetown. I met this woman on Plenty of Fish. I agreed to go meet her at her apartment. I got there. All she did was badmouth people, everyone. She was saying so many bad things about her exes and her family, and anyways, I was such I'm such a nice person that I just don't see the bad in people. I don't, and maybe I believe that hey, women can't be crazy, women can't be psychotic and hurt people, but they can't do. It's just how I guess they were brought up. I don't know, but I remember that night, and there's not much in between that I can remember, but I can remember that night like it was happening right now. The weather wasn't very nice that night. I know it was freezing rain really heavily. Um, she convinced me to stay overnight, to stay there. It was fairly late because I had worked late, so it was late when I went over. She gave me a couple of drinks of Coca-Cola, I believe it was, or Pepsi. I said to her, I'll stay, but I'm staying alone. I'm sleeping alone. I don't want you sleeping with me. I don't want sex. I was very clear to her that I was not ready for that and I did not want that. She said, yeah, okay. I remember there was a mattress on the floor, and that's where I laid down. I covered up. After that, I don't really remember how it happened. I don't know if she put something in my pot or if I was in a deep sleep and that's when she came in and did her thing. But it's not what I wanted. I said no. I made it very clear to her I did not want sex. I was not looking for sex. I was not the type to just go and do it. She was not in the room when I fell asleep. I woke up the next morning, so I had to work. I went to the bathroom probably about 6:30 in the morning. There was no sign of her. But there was an open condom wrapper and condom in the garbage. And I just froze, like, didn't know where that came from. Like, I felt like something was wrong. So I left and went home and I went to work. I never want to see her again. Never want to talk to her again. A week later, like a week, I get a message from her saying that she was pregnant. I felt like my heart sunk to my toes. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand how, why, how can you be? From that moment on, I found out a lot about her since then, and right afterwards. I found out that she was a narcissist. She, she would tell me things like she was bipolar, she had multiple personality disorders, she would tell me how she was abused by her family. I felt like if this kid was mine, this baby was mine, I'd still want to be there for them. So I would still. I met her after that, hung out with her, but it wasn't ever alone. I always made sure that either I had my kids with me or she had her daughter. I did not trust her. I moved to Alberton right away. I did not want to have any contact with her. I was scared. I couldn't believe what happened. And about 3 weeks after I moved, she shows up at the doorstep with her daughter, telling me she got fired from the garden home because of her bad attitude, and that she had no place to live because she was evicted. So I let her stay there. And she would continuously call the cops, child protection on my ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, and say that, you know, that things happened, or that they did something to my other children when it was all lies. I didn't even know she was doing it until after she would call them. But I remember talking to one of my friends, and like, you know, she lies to hurt people. She wants to destroy anyone's reputation who does not like her and disagrees with her and won't put up with her. She doesn't lie to cover things up. She lies to hurt. I moved 3 times before I finally found some peace away from her. Gosh. I did not know how to deal with it. That night, I was sexually assaulted. I said no. Now I want to be a voice. I want to deal with it in a healthy way. When he was born, I seen him on a regular basis. I would pick him up and spend time with the baby, and he'd stay the night, and you know, it felt good because I was happy to have this child and this baby near me and seeing him smile. And then she just started acting even crazier. She would stalk me and harass me. Didn't matter if I was home or at work, she'd be harassing me. This went on for a while before I had to make my own personal choice to step away. I couldn't deal with her madness. I knew I would either be taking my own life or not be mentally happy and healthy. She was destroying me. I had to block her out of my life. I had to get, like, I had to step away in hopes that when he got older, he would reach out and talk to me and want to have a relationship with me. I can remember speaking to a police officer in probably 2012, and he told me, listen, like, you can't stop fighting for him because she is really bad news. And he's going to have a rough life under her care. But I couldn't fight. I had no money to fight. It was, you know, the family justice system sucks. They don't support fathers. They don't support the best interests of a child. So I had to concentrate on being a father to my other children who were happy and were in a good place, in a good home with their mother and myself. And I didn't turn to alcohol, I didn't turn to drugs, but my way of dealing with things for the first, say, year was having a friend with benefits or a one night stand. That's how I thought would erase that awful night, those bad memories. Thought, listen, that'll get rid of that grossness, that feeling, right? Oh. Once I realized that's not the answer, I did get help, talk to people and counselors, and I dealt with being sexually assaulted. I wanted to be happy for myself. I needed to fix myself. I needed to work my way through this. I had no contact with her for years. Everything was great. I was happy. But then in November of this past year, everything finally caught up to her, and she got what she deserved. He's been in my care since November. It's been a struggle because of how she has programmed him and treated him, and I don't know if I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know, but I know he deserves to be happy. He deserves to be loved, and he was not getting that. She lost both of her kids because of drugs, because she wanted to take her own life. She was mental. He still, to this day, does not want to see his mother. The only time he asked to see her or said that he kind of would like to talk to her was when her mother and family tried to talk him into having a relationship with her, and it wasn't really what he wanted. Anytime he talks to counselor and to child protection, he says, no, I don't want to. Not ready. And he's not. Even though she pretends that she's perfectly healthy now and that she's doing great. It's been 6 months, you're not doing great. It's been over a decade for me since I was sexually assaulted, and I'm still not doing great. It's still painful, and I can't stop thinking about how I said no, and you still. Such a hard thing to say. I don't know how I'll ever get over it. I don't know. I probably never will, but I think anybody that's been there that has said no, I want to be there for them, and I'd like them to be there for me, and it's probably what I need the most is to talk be able to talk about it. And it's hard to. It's hard sometimes, like every day he's here with me, and I think that's why I think about it every day now. That's why it's so clear. He's here every day. I know when women get raped, they can get pregnant too. And then they have to cope, right? I don't know how you cope. I wish somebody out there that has went through that can tell me how they cope. Cause I don't know. Oh, I'm just thankful there is some help out there. Victim services is great. Support groups are good. I don't know how we cope. But I need to get through this. And yes, I was sexually assaulted. And it has been over a decade. And it still tears at you. I still don't feel like my family and friends would even believe it. Like, it doesn't happen to men. It doesn't happen to people. Like, nobody can assault somebody, but they do. When you're in the moment, it's what do you do? I even found a letter that I had written back in 2012 about what I was going through. I wrote down that, I met her in mid-December 2010. I wrote down that I felt bad for her and her child. She was working at the garden home. She was fired. I wrote down that she was posting updates all over Facebook, which is what she does, as everybody knows. She was talking bad about the mothers of my children. I needed her out of my life. I was writing that she had psychotic episodes. She was, wow. She told me she was having psychotic episodes because she wasn't taking her meds. I wrote this down. I wrote this 10 years ago. She lies to her people. I wrote down that it was in March that I moved to Alberton, hopefully getting her out of my life. A month later, she showed up in Alberton looking for a place to live. I wrote that. Can't believe I wrote down all this stuff. She accused me of kidnapping. That was a lie. She would ask me to go pick him up and take him for the night. But then if I took him somewhere or took him to my girlfriend's place, she would call the cops. That was just her go-to. And she still does things like that. There was friends of hers that witnessed abusive behavior towards Brendan. They called child services several times. I remember that now. I was at the rig beside my ex-wife when she was texting her, and she was showing me what this rapist was bad-mouthing me all over Facebook, which is what she likes to do. I wrote this 10 years ago. It says I didn't want her daughter living on the street, and that's why I left them in. I did call the cops even back then. And they told me they know her past and they know what she's like. And that it would be better off to never talk to her, but to fight for Brendan. Yeah, even says here that she told me that one time she got a restraining order against my ex-wife and her mother because they had cursed her down. That was all lies. Like, gosh. Anyway, I need help in coping, having a child from sexual assault. I have to end here. Thank you for listening. It's my story.